Welcome to the American Glutton Podcast.
A course of like 3 days, everybody, I gotta shoot a show there, right? And everybody was just like, oh yeah, let's social distance. And I had never heard that term before. And
right.
like, you know, getting your mic on and everything. And our sound engineer was like a kind of a weird dude already. So I was just kind of like, yeah, he's just freaking out or whatever. And then within 3 days, they're like, we're shut down. You're going home.
Yeah.
We shoot in hospitals, right? So they were like,
holy shit!
we got
active
kicked,
hospital?
we got kicked out of Kings County Hospital on the 7th or on the 5th. And they were like, yeah, you guys should have left like a while ago. So they were pretty vocal with us.
Yeah.
And our producers were like, well, we didn't know. We had no idea. I was like, yes, you had the hospital telling you to get out of here. The big
but
machine,
everybody
the
was
big
fine?
Machine. Everyone, no, 12 people got COVID. 12 crew and cast members. Daniel Day Kim on our cast got.
Oh, yeah.
He just came to like play around for like 3 episodes and he got the vid.
You gave him COVID.
I gave him COVID. One of our directors, Darnell Martin, got COVID. Yeah, a bunch of crew members.
Fucking New York, it was inescapable, dude.
I know. I left feeling pretty unscathed. Like by that point, it hadn't like gotten crazy. But when I got home, I was quarantining with my family. I was like, this could be terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, like, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, I come home and quarantine by myself, I guess.
Right.
But my wife was like, well, you know, we're all going to get it. It is what it is. And I was like, I hadn't seen the kids in like 3 weeks. So I was like, all right. But it's funny how you can already say, if I knew then what I know now about it, I probably would have quarantined by myself. It's only been a few months, but like we've learned
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my youngest kid. They've kind of started opening up where it's like the kids can meet in a park and like sit around in a circle and have a picnic. Right?
Yeah.
She's 13. I hope she's not 14. She's 13. She's going to be so offended by this.
You just got to muddle those words.
Yeah.
She's 15.
She's 15. That's right. She's exactly that age that you said.
Good.
And
good age.
And then there's always one kid who's like, we all have to get tested, and I go like, I get tested just about every week.
Yeah.
You don't need to get tested. You're 13 and you don't leave the house except to sit in a semicircle in a park
with a bunch of other kids who only do the exact same thing.
Yeah. And if I'm clean, you're clean. That's my assumption. But like, we haven't left Los Angeles, and it's fucking weird to not leave Los Angeles because I want to get the fuck out of here every chance I get.
Man, I stayed here for I got March 7th till I went to New York on July 17th. So, you know, what is that? I'm March, June, July. It's like three and a half months basically. Yeah. And we didn't do anything. We live in Ojai, which is nice. So we like can hike and do stuff, but like it's all solo. Even if we tried like a social distance hike, and it was just like, what is this? It was fucking ridiculous. But then
social distancing amongst the people in your house?
Yeah, no, hiking. Yeah, no, just if we met with another group like dads or whatever.
You stay away, right.
But I just flew to New York, as you know, and I was so excited. I was like, you know, like low key. I was like, oh man, I'm getting on a plane. I'm like, I'll be careful. I got my hands sandy and my mask and everything.
It's an adventure.
But it was weird. I felt really bad. I felt irresponsible. I got to my apartment in Brooklyn and I like quarantined for 14 days, and I had to go there for a surgery, an elective surgery. But it was like, the adventure doesn't. It's like that expression: wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, there's COVID.
Yeah.
Like you can't go, it's not like you can escape it and go somewhere else and be like, oh, I'm free. It's like it's all the same shit.
I think you're right. I think the only place that you can actually escape it is like on a hike in Ojai or like some version of
Hawaii
by yourself. Right. But even Hawaii, like you might be bringing it there.
Yeah, you're the asshole. Bringing COVID to Hawaii.
Right. Like the jerk who brought rats and then whatever that other creature is that tries to kill rats, but mongoose.
Chickens to Kauai.
And they're like, one's a daytime thing, one's a nighttime thing, so they don't ever kill each other, and they just have an infestation of mongooses and rats.
Yeah.
And now some jerk is bringing COVID. Which is going to wind up killing some tropical plant and completely offsetting the ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem.
It's a disaster. Yeah.
It's bizarre, man. And like the escape of it, I think even if you could, maybe this is just me. I feel like even if you could safely get away and go on your little like vacation, I would still feel shitty.
Yeah.
I would still feel weird about it. You know, like it just doesn't feel. I mean, how are you going to go and just have like a carefree, la-di-da vacation when all this is going on. You still can't escape.
No,
it.
you can't.
Even if you physically escape the virus, you can't escape a global pandemic and the anxiety and depression and the feelings and all that stuff. It's like it's running rampant.
This exact thing you described, this feeling, this is the feeling, and I might have to explain it, and maybe I talk about this too much. This is the exact feeling that the idea of shopping at Erewhon gives me.
Oh, not what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. No, this feeling of like, there's loads of people who want to straighten out their lives with food, nutrition, stuff like that. And it's not easy. There's a lot. And there's so much fucking data and conflicting data. And like, what are we going to do? And then we're in Los Angeles. And like Los Angeles, we're going to get a lot of pressure. Like, well, you have to just buy food. It has to be organic, but not just non-GMO organic and raised with like some kind of spiritual vibe too, and
locally
right.
crystals and and by the way, a dozen eggs is $20.
Grass finished.
Yes, like God forbid it's only gotten grass on one end.
Yeah,
that's not good. It's oxidized a certain way. This is not good. And then Paige, who's my wife's best friend, and their whole clique of girls who are super into this stuff. By the way, she probably has some kind of like members rewards card for Erewhon, so I'm going to shit on it as much as possible.
Not me.
Erewhon would never stoop so low.
Okay, whatever it is,
they don't have membership cards.
Like a black card, a black Erewhon card.
There is
She knows the shoppers' names. Yeah,
it's like a millionaires club. Yeah.
That's right.
Not
yes,
me. Let's
yes.
be clear.
Okay.
I'll go to Erewhon.
You've given up Erewhon during COVID. We had this conversation. She is posturing.
I'm a Whole Foods person, and I've gone down to Sprouts during COVID because I'm trying to
Sprouts not fancy?
It's just
I
not.
love Sprouts, by the way.
Thank
oh my
you.
god,
I think Sprouts is fantastic.
Sprouts
as well.
is great.
What a place.
This opens a whole new world for me. Is it not just Kardashians and Sprouts?
No, it's way not Erewhon is the Kardashians. Sprouts is you and me.
Really?
Yes.
But COVID brought even the Kardashians down to Sprouts, I'm sure. At least on one occasion, I'm sure. You could catch the Kardashians.
Don't include me in the Erewhon.
Okay, anyway, my point is, I look at like some of the stuff that was pushed on me as a kid, and it is, in order to lose weight and get healthy, it's really expensive. And I just go, fuck, that's not, like, if I can even do that, in literal terms, if my bank account will allow me to do that, okay.
Do you want to, though?
I don't really want to. And then I don't want to be a part of a movement that says this is a requirement, like wealth is a requirement for health. Fuck that.
Wealth is a requirement for health. That's so funny, man. It is a racket. Like, it's a full, it might be the biggest racket. Fitness and health. It's like porn now. I mean, it's like, it's being sold to you everywhere you look. The image, the right diet, the right way to do it. But it's all going to cost you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I thought was really cool about what you've been doing is like more just by example. You're just leading by example and showing people like, hey, look what I did. Yeah, you're not like, hey, try this program. Yeah.
Listen, in my heart, I want to say like, go. By the way, if you want to play video games, I support you. I'm into it. Like, I can totally get into a place. I love playing video. I've been banned from playing video games in my house because I like them so much. Like,
for me, it has to be OG NES. That's the only thing
I'm into it.
Yeah.
And the body that I associate with you needing to have to pull off playing video games, just some hand strength.
Yeah,
that's it.
You got the forearms for it, man.
I got the forearms for it. I could crush video games and let the rest go to shit.
Right.
And just maybe do the Captains of Crush grip.
That's why I like the OG NES. There's a lot of it. Like, everything had to do with button dexterity.
And that works the forearms.
Absolutely.
It's not just thumbs. Thumbs, what do thumbs do?
God, your forearms just dwarf my entire arm. Look at those.
They're good forearms. Oh.
they're good
but forearms. I never even got to this. I am being put into a computer right now for work, which is super weird.
You're being digitally captured.
They don't know hair. They don't understand hair, why I had to shave.
Hair confuses the robots.
It's so demoralizing. I then said to my wife, like, never going to get an opportunity like this again to rationalize this, but why don't I do the full wax? That's why my forearms look so good. They're waxed.
It all, but you got to keep the brows.
Yes. Yeah. Apparently the computer can understand the brows.
There must be some weird eyebrow algorithm they established early on. They're like, no one's going to shave their eyebrows. There's never going to have any fucking luck with that. get the eyebrows nailed down. But
Tyler, you've thrown such a chink in my armor. Like, I didn't even have that argument with anybody. They were just like, you need to shave. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
And it crushed my soul shaving. And the fact that I had these on my face, these eyebrows.
yeah, why aren't those confusing?
Right.
I think you got bamboozled, man.
I think I'm growing my beard for the next round of computer.
Oh, you have to
nonsense.
keep it off?
Oh, you have to keep going.
They didn't just like get a bunch of like stock footage of Ethan Suplee. And
They
like,
do it.
you
No,
could-
no, it was very scary. So we did a day, like a very long day of
Yeah.
like, now move a little bit. Now we're going to capture that. Hold it. No, all
I
this.
shot a
stuff.
whole movie that way.
Was it awful?
Yeah, it was the first Planet of the Apes with
Right.
Franco, and we had all these huge fight scenes with monkeys. They did this like 3-pronged digital approach, and we'd have to like reenact the scenes on a gimbal
Yeah.
and a green screen behind us. Every single movement,
It's
every
so
facial
weird,
expression.
right?
It's so weird, man.
Yeah, I'm not into it. And I also feel like once the computer has you,
Yeah,
are you needed anymore?
not really.
Yeah.
but we should maintain that you are needed.
I think we should.
because otherwise,
We're not.
Are we needed for
what
anything,
Are we
really?
doing? Right.
Yeah.
What's our life? What do we mean?
they made a movie about that.
Yeah.
But you get to be in a video game.
Right. Yes.
So there's all these like hair negatives.
Well, I will say I'm not hating the waxed arms. It's
I think
pretty good.
it looks pretty good, man.
Yeah.
It's
I don't miss
got a
that
nice
hair.
shine. It's got a nice sheen.
I mean, I've never, like, I couldn't just do that on my own. Like, honey, I'm going to go get a wax. I'm going to wax my arms and my chest. What is that? That's weird.
I don't know, man. Just hearing you say it, I think it's like
It's a thing now.
if you just say, "Oh, let's give everyone permission out there."
Yeah. We can all do whatever
You can
the
get
fuck we
waxed
want.
if you
Yeah,
want. You can
if
get your
want
arms
to.
waxed. Ethan is walking, talking proof that it looks good.
But I think more than anything, I'm coming out as a guy who enjoys the wax.
Does it
Hairlessness.
hurt?
Yeah, no, it's miserable, but then it's way worth it.
You
Yeah.
did your whole body.
I did my upper body.
Yeah, let's.
Other than my head,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess, I kind of did because I shaved everything except
Yeah.
the eyebrows. Really throwing the logic off here.
I didn't mean to throw such a huge wrench in your hair game, but
Yeah.
the eyebrows. I was like, that doesn't, because that's a fairly bushy brow you have.
It's a legit brow. I mean,
Those are like little above your eye beards.
yeah. Every now and again, a kid will come up to me and pinch a hair off, and then show me that it's like this insanely long hair, and say, "You're
Yeah.
welcome."
I'm getting old man brows, man.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the Eugene Levy, sort of Martin Scorsese brows.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
No, I like a good brow.
Yeah.
But I like a good beard too, and that's now gone. Maybe for no reason.
I just trimmed mine. I had the good COVID beard. It was like
Yeah.
nice and long and thick, and then I shaved my head, and I was like, the beard, it just looks weird. I didn't like that look. I don't know if you have yours
Beard and shaved head.
and then big beard.
I feel that I look a lot like Shel Silverstein.
Yeah, and he was a
Which is
creepy
not
looking
good.
dude.
Yeah,
man.
he sure was.
For the most prolific children's author of all time,
it's
he
an odd
should
one.
have. Someone should have like kept him off the back of those
Yeah.
those sleeves.
Wear
man.
a hat, grow your hair,
Do something, shave
else.
the beard.
Yeah. And then looking like him is really like, oof, this is not great. But I'm going to grow a giant beard, and it was time to shave my head.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was holding on to.
I feel like the head shaved full beard thing kind of puts you into like gay biker mode pretty
Yeah.
quick. You know what I mean? Like, but also just biker mode.
Right.
But it's like that. I think my brother did it for a while. Everyone in my family is bald except for me. And my dad had a big beard. Then he went down to like just the mustache. Then he had like a handlebar. And then my little brother shaved his head and grew a huge beard. It was just like, it was undeniable that he fit right into the bear club. You know, I was like, look at that.
Yeah.
I could see it.
That's what I sense too. I don't know how to escape it, but I don't know what my other options are.
It's not a bad look. I mean, honestly, who
Yeah,
cares
it
if you-
works for them.
Yeah.
I could be a gay icon.
I mean,
That's what
you
I'm going
you
for
probably
after
have
all.
been ogled
Yes.
by many a
points,
bear in your
yeah.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, at points. Yeah, so back to the food. I just don't, the idea that we set these standards and go, like, you have to be, I just don't think it's right. I don't think it's true either.
It's not. That's the thing. I mean, the whole racket is like, it's like politics. It's like it's an illusion that we all have to sort of buy into,
Right.
or the whole system apparently crumbles. You know,
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
Wow, he just opened a magical door that Paige is going to try and shut.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I totally agree with you. I mean, it's politics. money.
Yeah.
It's all just a weird idea.
Yeah. Well, like, I was talking to my friend the other night about, like, sorry.
No,
You
it's
took a
fine.
big breath to say
No,
something there.
It's a little joke. No, I was breathing because he didn't get deep into politics. It's a joke that I'm shutting down politics. But no.
we don't need. I'm not going to talk politics. Don't worry. I'm not major into that.
I would just say tear it all down.
Yeah.
Let's start over again.
Yeah. That's it. That's my position.
fresh.
The experiment didn't work.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Get a
do
do-over.
different.
We get a do-over.
The work in progress has stopped progressing. So
Video game reset.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just make sure you save. 'Cause
Right.
we might need to go back to
Right.
it. But no, I was talking to my friend about like the underlying drive behind any of these things that we are forced to like buy into is this fear, right? Like it's like fear mongering everywhere you look. But then, like, what are we actually afraid of? Like, why are people afraid of equanimity right now? Why are people afraid of, why are people afraid to go and lose weight on their own or just do what they think is sensible without being given permission or being sold like a product or whatever? What's the fear? And then if you look past that fear, like, it boggles my mind. Like, how do they know? Here's what I'm saying. Have we been raised in this fear-mongering society for so long that we don't know how to function without the fear? Or is there a genuine sort of like we actually have this fear and they play on it and they market it to us, or do they create the fear in the beginning? Like, have you been living with this idea of what you should look like or how you should be or how much money you should make your whole life, or do they market really well?
I think it might be a little bit of both. I think they market real well.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of weave together a fabricated quote unquote truth for us that just go, the billboards become the foundation of our lives.
God, I wish
basically.
it was just billboards.
Right.
You
No,
could
I
avoid
mean
billboards,
everything.
yeah.
Yes,
Like,
all of it.
Social media, everything.
It all falls into it. But I then also think that there's some part of us genetically that are herd creatures.
Yeah.
And so if the group is jumping off the cliff,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Lemmings,
We're jumping
just
off
gonna
the
do it.
cliff.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go like, let's step outside of what the group is doing and go like, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm not going to do that. Because once the herd goes off the cliff, you're alone. What the fuck are you doing now alone?
That's a fearful place. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
I think it's a little bit of both, but it is two forces that definitely kind of dictate what we do.
Yeah. And it's like we're so afraid of like no precedent.
Yeah.
Like if it hasn't been tried, tested, and true, I can't possibly figure this out on my own.
Right.
Right. But that's fear mongering too. That's like we've been taught that like you have to learn everything from somebody else. You have to be showed how to do everything, and it drives me nuts. But it's an interesting little conundrum, especially in the fitness industry, because we really are marketed an image so heavily. And like I went vegetarian like 8 months ago. I'm not anymore. Like 3 weeks ago, I decided to go back on meat.
Yeah.
But I did it more as like a rebellion against like this idea that if you don't eat meat, you're not a man.
Right.
And it's the reverse for women. It's like you should eat less meat, eat dainty, eat this salad for lunch or do whatever. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
How does my meat consumption?
Right.
How did that get intertwined with my masculinity?
Yeah.
At what point does that make any sense? I don't understand that.
I think anthropologically, it goes back to like who's hunting
Sure.
and who's sitting around the fire with the kids.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, hey, who's eating the most of that
Right.
meat around the fire? It was
No.
like, who got the meat? Sure.
Yeah, you bring the meat back, and I think, I mean, I don't know. I've not been
A caveman?
yes, not this go around at least. But I picture, you're in the field, you take a little sliver of the heart or the liver, and you and the other dudes who caught the thing, or maybe there's a chick out there too, and you share that, you get a bite of it, and it's like, yeah, blood, more vitality. Then you take it back, and the gals who are home with the kids, who are maybe going to dress it and cook it,
Yeah.
they're really eating the back straps and all the prime cuts because they're going to serve you the hooves at the end of the day.
Right. But we got to have like this real ritualistic eating of the liver out in the field.
Yeah.
Or the heart.
And I
went to the liver
whatever
for
it is, maybe
Yeah.
it was just like I think on a bear, it's like the gall. There's the gallbladder is
There's like
really
a thing with every animal, isn't
prized.
there? Like
Yeah.
you got to eat this thing. It's virility. It's like,
Yeah.
So I guess that goes back to that, like the idea of eating the life of another thing is
Right.
like, ugh, but why?
By the
just
way,
masculine?
I'm making this up. I don't know if that's true.
You shouldn't have said that.
I'm just-
You had me in your fear web. You had me.
Yeah. Here's what it is. Men eat meat.
I'm gonna go home and write a dissertation on this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's what I imagine. But at the same time, like, there's no innate truth to that.
No.
There were certainly civilizations where the women were hunting and the dudes were
Yes.
hanging out with kids.
Well, and like, I think a lot of people watched that Game Changer documentary on which made me kind of tip over the falls with the vegetarianism. The fact that like gladiators were vegetarians, like these historically regarded, tough guys were like eating vegetarian because it helped them heal quicker and perform better. And, so it's like, it's more of a, excuse me, it's more of a modern construct, this idea.
Yeah.
It's like, I think fast food has put a lot of money into that. They've banked on that a lot. Like burgers.
Yeah.
Go fuck a hamburger. You'll
Yeah.
be more of a dude. Like, it's like eat a quadruple cheeseburger
Yeah.
and you're more of a man. Like, there's been direct marketing campaigns to a detrimental degree for our health, obviously, but like squarely targeted at your masculinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
skinny vodka
skinny.
for the ladies.
The
Like,
skinny
fuck
margarita.
off.
Dude, that gal made $1 billion off
Lot
skinny
of money.
margaritas.
Yeah.
What a smart idea.
Just fucking put the word skinny in front of anything.
yeah.
Sign me
Yeah.
up.
I want to sell skinny fat. That's a thing,
Skinny
right?
fat?
Skinny fat. Yeah, just be skinny fat. And it
Right.
means nothing.
I
You
call
can be whatever you
myself
want.
myself fit fat.
Fit fat.
Yeah, fit fat. Yeah.
Fit fat is good.
I wanted
feel like
that
I'm
to be my
fit
nickname,
fat.
like around the gym. Like, what's up, fit fat? But it never took.
Well, how did you feel being vegetarian for
That's a
these
good
months?
question.
Like, how did you feel?
Almost 8 months. It was so I had been dealing with a lot of I work out. I don't think anyone works out as hard as this guy, but I work out really hard. And it kind of always been like okay with being fit fat. Like I almost like have convinced myself that it's like a strategy, like for my career. Like yeah, I can feel really good because I feel fit, really fit. But people hire me more when I'm a little. I'm sure you can relate to this, man. There was a point where people are like, well, don't change.
Yeah.
Be fat. We love you.
We
fat.
like those 20 pounds.
Yeah,
or
we want
40
you
pounds.
to. Yeah, it was much more than that. So I decided after watching Game Changers, I was like, I want to push through to that next level of fitness. Like it can't be good to be wearing a 30-pound, weight on my stomach. So I really was like, kind of before heading into it, was really checking in with my body and how I felt, and I had like a lot of clicks and pops, and I had a lot of I thought I had like tennis elbow. I had like hurt myself doing pull-ups one day, like months before, and it just wouldn't heal, and my ankle was kind of screwed. And I had this like clicking in my left knee. It was like there for 2 years. Didn't hurt necessarily, but just kind of sounded like sand in my, you know what I mean? I'd go down to a squat and it'd be like,
Yes.
yeah, it just happens, I guess. But within 3 weeks of going totally plant-based, this went away, the elbow thing, the clicking in the knee went away. My ankle healed up within like 2 weeks. I mean, 5 weeks. It was like, I almost had to like check myself and be like, did you create these injuries?
Right.
And now you're like, you've given yourself permission, like, vegetarianism will
Yeah.
heal you. Or did it really, because of the inflammation, I think it really I just wasn't in pain like that. And then something really interesting happened was that I stopped needing stimulants in the morning. And I still I don't drink coffee, but I'd always like a little pre-workout, or I have these vegan protein shakes that have a little kick in them. And I stopped needing that to go to the gym and was working out way harder in the gym and getting way more results. And then I went back on meat, like I said, 3-4 weeks ago, and I just kind of got doughy and inflamed again.
Really?
Yeah, if you look at my Instagram, when I was back in New York shooting the show and I was really into the vegetarianism and working out, I was starting to get kind of cut. I was starting to get the.
I mean, listen, let me just say, we haven't seen each other in person in a long time.
Yeah.
I think you look fantastic.
Thanks,
I
man.
really
Thank
do.
you. You too.
Thank you. I think you have undergone a change, certainly.
I have. I've lost a lot of weight. I used to hover around 295. That was sort of my
Yeah.
That was my. At the height of my career, honestly, I was the biggest I'd ever been, and people were just like, more of that
We
guy.
love it. This is great. Yeah.
And so I sort of having kids, having my daughter, really, I was like, I don't want to be a 300-pound dad who just barely gets through the day, I think that's a big motivation for a lot of people you kind of start feeling like, well, there's got to be a better way to feel than this. So I started doing that like 8 years ago, I guess, like 9 years ago, meeting with a trainer and doing that. And it's been this really slow up and down kind of thing. But then the last like 2 years, I really kind of like figured out a little bit more balance. I've been sober now for almost 3 years, which is a big thing for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like totally clean and sober. And it's just like slow and steady. You know, like I'm not in a rush anymore. I think I'm 42. Like my trainer even at one point was like, "What are you doing?
Right?
Why are you doing that? Like, why are you back squatting 350? Like,
you don't need to.
You don't need to do that, man. Like, just relax.
No, you just leg press it.
Just fucking leg press it, man. I never do the leg presses. Yeah.
Because we look at it and we go, "I'll get that on the back squat."
That no problem.
But then your knees feel like sand and they're grind. I am unfortunately not a big fan of real squats.
No, I love them. I do squats all the time. My legs are kind of my favorite muscle on you got your forearms, I got my legs. I got tree trunks.
I would trade forearms for legs any day of the week.
You got big legs, don't you?
I got big legs, but I also got a lot of loose skin.
Well, that's something I wondered about you, man. Like, because you at your biggest, like, what were you?
Gigantic, 550.
550, yeah. And it's funny, I saw you today. I remember, like, I've always been kind of like, I'm very fond of you, and I was like, oh, I remember even back when we were kids, I was like, oh, Ethan's rad, man. But I remember you because you were big, but I remember thinking that you were like 6'5".
Right.
I remember thinking like you were just like this house of a guy.
I think I have lost a couple of inches on my height, honestly. And when I really go into it, I'm like, well, maybe I had fat on the bottom of my feet, but I've gotten shorter. I was like 6'2" at one point.
Yeah.
And now I might be just 6 feet.
Yeah, because I'm 6, and when I came in and gave you a
we're
hug,
equal.
Not that we hugged.
No.
COVID. I was like, I think we're right around the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the skin, it doesn't seem like you have issues here.
I had a surgery to remove.
You did do it.
This.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then I gained weight and stretched it all out again. So I do have some loose skin.
Yeah.
I didn't have my legs done. I didn't have my arms done, so I have loose skin here.
That's not bad though, man. Like I've seen.
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah, but I mean, compared to like, not that I want to like knock on people who have loose skin, but like I've seen some pretty bad examples of that. You know,
it can be bad. The tummy skin was crazy.
Yeah,
and I have a friend who hasn't had that surgery and has a ton of loose skin and is out there going like, nope, this is what it is, and I'm gonna take my shirt off every day, and this is what happens.
That's what my body is. Yeah. That's
and
cool.
It's
man.
Great. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's all a matter of choice, obviously, personal preference, but like, that's pretty badass too. Just being like, fuck you.
I agree.
This is me. It's still me. It's my skin, you know.
Yeah.
And it hurts, right? Like it's a painful recovery, isn't it?
From the surgery?
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I heard it's just like. We did an episode on the show last season about a woman who like had this crazy amount of loose skin, and she like contemplated suicide. It was all this stuff, and then we did the the surgery in the show and kind of represented just how horrible the recovery is too.
I mean, listen, we just interviewed a doctor who's a loose skin surgeon.
Yeah,
and. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, I had always had, like, I will never do something like that again because it was so horrific. But after talking to this guy, I'm almost like, geez, what could he do for me? I want to go see him, because he was like, nope, within 2 weeks, you'll be moving around and then you'll be back in the gym in 6 weeks, I think he said, right? Which my recovery was nothing like that. I also did this 15 years ago.
Oh, shit.
And
was that long ago?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I started to get active too early, fell down, tore myself open. Like it was every disaster you could imagine.
My absolute, the thing that I went to as the worst case scenario.
I did it.
Like, wouldn't you just like pop open again? Like that's the gross like image in my mind is like splitting yourself back open.
Yeah, and guess what? When you do that, because it was a severe split,
it's gonna get worse.
They don't sew it up. You get something called a wound vacuum that basically just draws moisture away from it until it naturally scars over.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, real bad. Really bad.
I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Like, it's just bad to re-sew it, or like the scar will be worse, or
I didn't ask them. I was so in shock like the week that this happened. I went from really overly anxious about doing the surgery to way over anxious afterwards to I'm a sober person and now I'm full of narcotics.
Yeah. Oh, you're sober too.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the last surgery I had I ruptured my bicep tendon, and just because I had such a bad experience with narcotic pain medication, I did this with no
pain medication.
Nothing. And
That's
in fact,
nuts, dude.
having the surgery, I said, you cannot give me opiates.
Yeah.
And it hurt real bad.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I just had an elective surgery, and I've been sober for almost 3 years, and that was a huge thing I was talking about with my dudes, like in the fellowshipping, you know?
Yeah.
I was just like, what do I do, man? Like, it's a pretty painful recovery. They wanted to give me some hydrocodone.
Yeah.
And some Celebrex.
Sure.
The names. I love it, man. Celebrex.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Because it sounds like a feel
what a
joy.
joyful, beautiful, like we can share this moment. Celebrex.
Yeah.
It also kind of sounds like sex, which isn't coincidental, I don't think. But I decided I was going to take the prescribed medication because I was like, you know, it's prescribed. I never had a real narcotics problem, but I mean, that's not true. I did a little bit, but mostly alcohol for me. And everyone in the group was kind of like, yeah, do it. And then I got one hydrocodone in my body, and my body just rejected it.
Really?
It was just like, you go throw up right now. That I got so nauseous. I got so dizzy. Not just dizzy, I had like fuzzy face. You know that feeling where it's like inescapable, cold sweats. And I was like, oh, it's the hydrocodone. So I went and made myself throw up and then just took Tylenol.
Yeah.
Your body just at a certain point is like, we made a deal.
We're done with
we made a deal,
this
dude.
is
I don't care what
thing.
kind of pain we're in. You don't get to put that stuff in me anymore.
But Tylenol was very helpful. Tylenol and Advil and like
handfuls.
Yeah, give it to me, put it in me, and then it just basically goes from a very sharp pain to a dull pain that you can get through.
Which I can get. I mean, look, we've both abused the hell out of our bodies.
Yes.
And then with working out too, like I went through like, I thought I was going to be a competitive lifter at one point. I was like, at like 37 years old, like I can do this. You know, and just ripping my body to shreds and like tearing up my back. That was the bad one for me, my knees and my back. But like, we can withstand some pain, man.
Yeah.
You know, you really can.
But so I had every disaster with skin surgery ever. And then we had this dude in here who was so like, I am an artist. I will make you perfect. This is my job. I am not a butcher.
Yeah.
Any veterinarian can cut skin off you and sew you back together.
Right.
And then I was suddenly like, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I was in a butchery.
It's like the Joker.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy though that like I'm wondering, because I'm starting this new program, like I said, which I want to talk about in a minute, where it's the goal now is to go from like a really comfortable 235, 230 to like 195, which is a big loss.
Yeah.
I haven't been 195 since I was like 21 years old, 22 years old. Before I moved to Hollywood, I was like, you're going to lose all this weight. I looked horrible. I was on like hydroxycut and like, you know, just all that stuff, all these like thermogenic boosters, and just fucked with my heart. But so I'm not totally certain I'm not going to be left with some skin. Not my arms and stuff, but this is pretty like it already. I think a lot of this some of it might be skin. It hangs funny. I can see muscle underneath it if I move it the right way. So I'm like,
you might be, but I'm looking at you and I don't think it's going to be like, I mean, listen, dude, the skin that I had, what I have now, I wouldn't have surgery for the loose skin on my stomach. And again, maybe you do this and you go like, no, I want to get this off.
I mean, I don't think so. I also don't really care about I'm not like, I got to get washboard abs. And I have stretch marks like crazy all over my body. And I'm kind of like, I like them.
Yeah. It's not bad.
You know what I mean? They just kind of look like I got abducted by an alien.
Yeah.
They did a bunch of experiments on me. They're like cool scars, you know? But yeah, I've thought about that. Just like if I did lose, I mean, like going from 300 initially down to like 195.
Yeah.
It's a big transformation, but I did it so slow that I think my skin's had time to snap
chill
back.
out. Yeah.
But if I can plug my buddy's
thing
please,
for a
second.
What are you doing?
So my buddy Ben Gustafson up in Canada in BC, he is like a family member. I've known him forever, and he was a professional chef in Vancouver, like a really hot shit kind of chef, and he got really badly addicted to some drugs and some painkillers, and he fucked up his knee, and then he got addicted to those painkillers, and he ended up kind of having to leave the industry and then went on this like sober journey to become a fitness trainer, like a really, really expert. Like you should see this guy. He's in like unbelievable shape. And he started this company called Lift to Rise Fitness. And him and his wife own it together. And he's a professional chef. He's also been a addiction counselor for 8 years now. And he's also a professional trainer. And so he took all of those elements and was like, you know what? I think the main thing that happens with people is like the growth from the inside gets sort of looked over. You know, no one really cares about that. It's like, hey, get results fast. So he's incorporated the counseling, which I was like blown away by that. He's like, yeah, when you sign up for the program, you get like 12 weeks of counseling with me. Wow. And it's not like we don't have to go into like, that's for a therapist. I'm going to talk to you about some pretty fundamental easy things to recognize in yourself, like it's the who and the what and the why and all these things of your fitness journey. So I'm just starting that, and then as a chef, he basically was like, look, there's this fallacy like we're talking about that like you can't do this. I'm just going to give you recipes from my book and you go make them, and you can fuck around and substitute what you want, but like it's tasty, really good food, because I think that's another thing a lot of us go like, oh shit, I don't want to eat, rabbit food all day or whatever you want to call it. Flavorless shit. Well, I guess shit would taste like shit, but flavorless food.
It's highly flavorful.
It's highly. Yeah. If you like the flavor of shit, you're gonna love eating shit.
Yeah.
So he's put this like all three of his kind of fields of expertise into this program, and so far so good, man. Like it's only been a few days, but like the food is delicious, the counseling is rad, and that part really appeals to me the most. Because there is a huge mental element, a psyche element involved, psychiatric, I guess, in weight loss. Like that's where most people get fucked up. It's not even the food. It's not the working out. It's like the idea that you're not worth it, or the idea that you can't visualize that goal, or you don't think that it's attainable, or whatever. You have some trauma from being chubby your whole life or fat your whole life, So he really gets into that, and it's like, I'm in such a like therapy place in my life right now. I'm like in therapy 2 times a week. I'm AA like as many meetings as I can a week. And I was like, yeah, pile it on, man. Some more counseling.
It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's so spot on with like handling your mind, whatever it is that's getting in your way, or whatever you're coming against that is going to slow you down or stop your progress.
Yeah.
That's got to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he's a chef, like I know for me, I'll get into a routine where it's like, this week I'm just eating chicken and rice and vegetables.
Yeah,
and I'll make it on Sunday.
I did that yesterday.
Yeah,
I made all my food for the week, and I was like, oh.
By the time you get to Friday, you're like, I need to eat something else. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But then I'm happy to switch it. But if I get a recipe that is not incredibly complicated, that works with my diet, like I saw this, my friend Charlie, he goes by Charlton Banks on Instagram. He showed me how to make a low-fat cheeseburger.
Nice.
And I hadn't eaten a cheeseburger in so long. And it was on like low-calorie bread. And I'm sure it tastes nothing like McDonald's.
Who gives a shit?
It doesn't matter.
It's terrible, man. Yeah.
It had low-cal ketchup, fat-free cheese, super lean ground beef, and it just looked so good. And I made one, and it was like, this is fucking magical. And it's
in your mind, you were like, fucking McDonald's, man.
It's as good as McDonald's for me. That kind of thing can keep a person going.
Absolutely, man. And that's another thing about the program that my buddy has put together, is he's like, look, it's not about total abstinence from like flavor or food or like variety. It's like, it's in a lot of ways, it's helping you build just a better relationship with food and your portions and what, when you eat in the day and all. I mean, all that stuff we hear all the time, but like, I think we just kind of get hung up on like, yeah, but what is that? What's the thing you're telling me that I should control the portion of?
Right.
And he's like, well, here. And then on the counseling, I cannot say enough about that idea. And I'm sure a lot of people are hip to that already, but like not readily available as like a program you can, like a pre-assembled sort of program you can buy. And I told him I'd plug it. So it's Fit to Rise, Lift to Rise. Sorry, Lift to Rise. And they're on Facebook. Check them out. And they have this like awesome sort of low cost foundational program called Tighter Tummy. And again, they don't totally focus on like, hey, you gotta get those abs or whatever. Right. It's more about an overall lifestyle. But they're still trying to compete in a
That's
competitive
awesome.
market, so tighter tummy.
I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And so you're doing that program.
Yeah, we're actually, him and I have been together, like working together on developing lots of TV ideas over the years, and we're gonna kind of turn the whole thing into a bit of a reality TV program, I think, and I'm gonna be like kind of the celebrity guinea pig.
Nice.
Just to kick it off. And he's got a thing called Coach's Kitchen that he's got on Facebook as well. But like he's a really enterprising, smart dude, and I feel like, there's never enough of this stuff.
No, there isn't, and there's never enough of what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's enough of all the other shit.
Well, I just think that the market and it could just be my involvement in this marketplace. But for me, what I see dominating the market is, what you're doing is wrong. You need to do this.
Yeah.
And that position over and over from wildly different positions.
Yeah.
But that's what I see over and over. And I just go like, fuck, man, this thing where the dude's giving you recipes and telling you to figure it out a little bit. Like, I'm sure if somebody likes carbs and doesn't like fat, they can do that. And if they like
he has a swap out guide, which
there
I was
you
like,
go.
oh my
That's
God,
amazing.
this is amazing. It's like a really easy to follow swap out guide for carbs and fats and proteins.
Yeah.
But also like that you're talking about that shit that we're marketed, man. I can't believe some of the shady lowbrow shit that it's packaged so well now.
Yeah.
It's beautifully done. And it's like, hey, 5 quick, like it'd be like a guy eating sushi. He's like, you want to eat this too?
Yeah.
5 quick tips. And then like people are just like click, click, click. It's clickbait.
Yeah.
But it's your life.
Yeah.
Your life is not clickbate. You know what I mean? Like there's like you gotta
I've
put some
bought
actual
all of
work
it,
into
too.
it. Oh, me too,
I
man.
buy them all. Protein puffs and
Yeah.
it's like a Cheez-It, but it's pure protein and it tastes like cardboard. Sorry,
Yeah.
Protein puffs.
Hey, look,
you as a sponsor.
look, if you're looking for that, they do it the best.
Yeah.
Right? But same with like I went really into the vegan protein powder for a while, like so much so that I was like, I decided that it was my saving grace. It was like, I have figured out something that other people don't know, and this is I'm gonna like 3 of these a day, like really buying. And I found one with like a stimulant in it. It's a good company called Raw Fit. Even though the owner of the company has kind of meshed his like Christian beliefs with his like vegan beliefs, which I kind of find a little off-putting. But whatever, man. He can do what he can do. Yeah, Jesus.
Didn't eat lambs, only fish that were somehow magical, and
He did eat a lot of magical foods.
yes,
True.
He could just snap fucking bread into existence.
He could snap his fingers over a steak and say,
there's
"This is
nothing more
vegan."
Yeah.
But so I did that. I bought it and I went nuts and like have like a auto shipment every month of like I was like drowning in vegan protein powder, and that stuff doesn't help you poop.
No.
Not even by a smidge.
No. It kind of I always think of it when I take a protein shake, and I always just do whey or casein, and
I can't do either of those. I have a dairy allergy.
Yeah, so that's no good. So you have to kind of do that. When
I do pea
take them-
protein,
Yeah, I just imagine that they go into my muscles and there is no waste.
right. You don't metabolize it.
No.
It just goes into
I
your.
maybe pee out some of the water that I mixed in.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think you probably do.
Right.
But yeah, I had the same thing with the vegan protein. I was just like, it's so clean. I'm so clean. I'm living so clean. I was like, you're not eating food, man. Right. You're not even eating food. You're eating pulverized bean dust.
Yeah.
With some chocolate flavoring, and then like coconut milk, and then strawberries and bananas all day.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, but it's a terrible diet, man.
It's not good.
I was gaining weight. I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I'm just drinking all my meals.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back to veganism?
That's I was talking to my buddy last night, and I don't know if I'm going to.
Well, let me ask you
I don't know if I'll go back to vegan. Like I didn't totally get to the vegan. I mean, I'm basically vegan because I have an egg and dairy allergy anyway, and I was not eating meat, so it was like there's a couple, exceptions here and there, but like predominantly vegan.
Yeah.
It's kind of if I'm going vegetarian, I kind of am just vegan.
Yeah.
So I feel like the problem with me was I got bored. I was like, where's all the stuff? Like what I can't go out to restaurants with my friends and eat the stuff. I can't meat is such a it's such a reward in our mind. Like, oh, that's the thing. That's the real meal. So I stopped thinking that way a lot when I went vegetarian. I started finding a lot of other like sort of, reward type, proteins and carbs, but I'm not ready to jump into it yet, but I think I will.
Yeah.
I think I will. The benefits were so apparent.
When you brought meat back, are you still like tracking what you're eating, or was it just like, now that I eat meat, I'm not thinking about diet anymore?
I sort of did that. It happened near the end of the quarantine, or the quarantine at the end of the. Well, we're still in the middle of that. It happened at the end. It happened near
the first
first wave.
Yeah.
Well, recently, right before I went back to New York, and honestly, this is so dumb, but like I was like, I'm going back to New York. Such good food in New York.
Gotta
and
get
pizza
Peter
and
Luger's takeout.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like I want to eat a steak, and I missed it. I genuinely missed it. But I think that like the diet, yeah, if I'm being honest, it
the whole thing fell.
The whole
apart.
thing, it kind of fell apart, and that's when I finally, because I was like, through the whole COVID pandemic, I was like very active online, being like, I'm not gonna gain any weight. I'm like kicking my own ass during COVID, and it was really working, and I was vegan and all this stuff, and then the fucking meat came back in, and I just stopped.
So I would just, and like,
you eat meat, right?
I eat pounds of meat every day.
Right.
But I'm not. I haven't eaten a steak in a long time because
you're eating lean meats. And,
yes, very lean. I would just say, and like, you can do whatever you want, but prior to like. You've noticed inflammation and stuff come back?
Yeah.
I would say before you say meat is off the table, try just fine-tuning your diet, making sure your calories are under with a little meat, and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Because it could just be that your calories increased.
Yeah.
And that has caused your body to get
absolutely.
To have a
there was like
effect.
A complete lack of regard after it was like the meat gates opened up, and I was like, oh,
everything.
What?
Yeah.
I can eat that now.
Yeah.
And I had this weird thing. It was like, to get vegetarian, it took a lot of willpower for me. You know, like in the first like month or two, I was like, it's really hard to just stop eating meat. You know, when you eat meat every meal of the day for 42 years, and all of a sudden you're like, none of that. It was like, I'm also addicted to challenges. You know what I mean? I think you're probably the same. Like you're like, yeah, I'll fucking try it.
We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
This.
It's
Hold
not
my
for me.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really took a lot for me to get there. And then once I got there, I was like, wow, this is like. For like 2-3 months, I was like, it opened up this whole new world of possibilities with cooking for me, because I also trained as a chef, and I was like, partially just like, you know, as a hobbyist, but I was like fascinated with the endless sort of varieties of vegetables and all this stuff. And then when I came to the end, I was really bored of all that, and the meat came back in. But then the first time I went to eat meat, I just couldn't make myself do it. I had like when you committed to this thing, it's really hard to break that commitment, but then also like I just conditioned myself so much, and so I still have that every time I eat meat. Like I cooked a whole bunch of chicken yesterday for the week, and like ate some off the grill, and I was like, oh, don't do that. And I like slapped my own hand to stop eating chicken. I was like, no, this is for me. I cooked this for me. Like it's weird. It's like this. It's like a commitment backlash.
I still feel that. A version of that every time I go to put a bite of rice in my mouth or a bite of pasta or bread. I'm still like,
no carbs.
I spent so long not eating this stuff that it's like, oh no, it's okay. I have figured it out. I've got a mathematical formula.
Let me ask you about that, man. So you are not carb free anymore. Yeah, because it's not good, right? That's not a healthy way to.
I mean, I don't know. Listen, all I know for sure for myself is that initially when I went carb free, I lost a ton of weight.
Sure.
And it kept coming off. And then there was a point where it stopped coming off, and I had to actually go low cal carb free.
Yeah.
And so at that point I started to go, well, maybe it's not just carbs. When I reintroduced carbohydrates, I was able to work out a lot harder.
Yeah.
And the changes in my body I was losing weight steadily on low cal carb free, but the increase in protein, the increase in carbohydrates, and the reduction of fat, I saw such a radical change in my abs, basically.
Yeah. Really
quickly over the course of like 6 weeks. I was like, oh, I need to do this.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing with the vegetarian and plant-based sort of phenomenon right now with bodybuilding and weightlifting is like, they're just like, no. Carbs are a macro for a reason. Like you need carbs, right?
Yeah.
You need all these building blocks. It's like calorie reduction. It's like this, if it sounds so dumb, but like at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. Like there are ways to food combine in all, times of the day and when you work out and everything, but like really it's just calories in, calories out.
Yeah. If the real funny way to think about it is what kind of weight do you want to lose?
Yeah.
And because we can lose water and see a metric on the scale that's
lose muscle
less.
Real fast too.
You can
man.
lose muscle.
Yeah.
And then there's fat. And if you want to target fat loss, you gotta maintain muscle and you gotta, your caloric deficit can't be too extreme or you're going to tap into the muscle. Like it's a kind of a weird balance. And the people who I have found who have gotten this down to a literal science are bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Those dudes know how to build muscle and know how to lose fat. And that's kind of what they do. They build muscle and fat comes with it. And then they lose fat and hold on to their muscle.
They bulk and then they shred, right?
Yeah.
Or
this is what they do. Yeah. So I'm literally like, well, I never thought that was super cool, but I think it's pretty super cool.
It's pretty
now.
amazing that they have fine-tuned their bodies that way.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is I guess everyone could do it, but it's like that dedication. Like your life becomes about your fat loss and increase and muscle increase, and like I don't think I'm going to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. No. But like I definitely noticed that when I went to a nutritionist years ago. This guy named Kevin Libby in LA. He's fantastic. And this is on the heels of like a terrible nutritionist who's this dude who I'm not going to mention him because he's really famous, but like he just fucked my shit up, man.
I really want to know who
I'll tell you afterwards. Okay. It just was like.
Is he also an oncologist?
He might. He has multiple doctorates and he creates all of his own supplements in his lab.
I know
he's really famous too. But he messed me up big time. And then I went to this other nutritionist who was like, you don't eat enough. And I was like, I like that. Tell me more about that. And then he put me on this diet where he was like, you have to think of your metabolism, which blew my mind. He was like, your metabolism is like the coal compartment in an engine. There's a fire in there, right? And like if you're just shoveling barely enough coal to keep the embers going, like that train's not gonna speed along. It's gonna eventually just like crawl to a stop. So he's like, you have to stoke your fire all the time, and you don't eat food. Like, what's your caloric intake a day? And I was like, at the time, I was doing like 1,900 calories a day, 6 feet,
not enough,
240 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, that's ridiculous. And he put me on this like dilator, this like Bronco dilator machine that tells you what your resting like caloric burn rate is for the day. And he was like, if you don't do anything all day, you burn around 2,800 calories a day. And I was like, what? And he's like, so you're not only in a 1,900 calorie deficit, you're in like a 3,200 calorie deficit even with the food you're eating. And I was like,
and then if you exercise,
which I do. He's like, you're killing your body. You're not going to lose weight ever. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to build muscle for sure. So he started having me eat more, and that's kind of stuck with me. It's like, eat more, just eat good. Eat clean, eat good, clean food.
I think we can, yes, we can, but we can also get like, I didn't really understand calories for the longest time because none of the diets I tried, it was always like, cut out carbs was the biggest one. There was one where it was like, here's a list of foods you can eat any amount on this list. Yeah. Okay. And there were carbs on it. So I would just eat like bushels of sweet potatoes every day. And beets,
Yeah.
And rice. You can have brown rice. And then it was like, no, brown rice is harder to digest. Eat white rice. So,
I know there was a whole weird brown rice, white rice movement.
Yeah, there's a battle. And I just know there's somebody in, I don't know why I'm automatically assuming all rice is grown in Asia. That's probably racist of me, but I'm picturing like somebody in a company somewhere going like, we got to fuck those brown rice people. It's all about white rice. We're going to make a profit here. Something like that is probably
It was a racket as well, man. Yeah. It was a full racket. We never know the full scope.
But so I never, until a couple years ago, I ever thought about calories. The idea that like my body needed a certain amount of food for the day didn't exist for me.
Yeah, and you were just about like, what do I eliminate? What do I eat more of?
Yes,
what do I eat less of? Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
And even though I would go like, oh, I'm eating too much because I've eliminated everything, I'm allowed to eat as much bacon as I want, and I'm still gaining weight. This doesn't make sense. I need to reduce a pound of bacon a day.
Yeah,
something like that.
Oh God, man. Yeah, I did paleo, Atkins. Tried keto a little bit in the beginning, and it just all, especially in the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
Jesus, it was a cult, man. Everyone was like, you're not paleo? You can't come into this box.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let me go. I'll take care of this.
I did CrossFit for, I had been racing bicycles and I was super into it.
Yeah, that's sort of was your big thing, right?
I then discovered rowing machines, and I was like, "Oh, rowing machines!
I love
glorious.
rowing. I'm a rowing ace."
And they have this at CrossFit, so I was like, "Oh, these are my people." And I went to one a block away from a Whole Foods, and at the Whole Foods they had a breakfast bar that had one giant tub of bacon.
Right.
And you had to get there at 5 a.m. because at 5:15 all the CrossFit people came and the bacon was gone.
It's so. I mean, there's where I used to. I lived in Venice at like 3rd and Rose, and there's a restaurant down there off of 2nd or Brooks, I think it's called, and Rose, and it's just like a breakfast eatery type thing too. But yeah, same thing, man. If you happen to show up there at the same time as all the meatheads, and there's like all those other, there's Gold's Gym down there and everything. There's just like the restaurant didn't have food. Right. They'd just be like, "I'm sorry, we can't seat you. We have no food left." Like it was.
They came through. They ate it all.
Sorry, man. They ate all our food. And I was like, well, respect.
Yeah.
But the CrossFit thing is what wrecked me though, man. I really subscribed for about 4 or 5 years. I was like, this is the key. This is it. I felt strong, like ridiculously strong, and also like a big dude. Figuring out how to do kipping pull-ups is like, it's like the fat kid's revenge. I was just like, yes, I could do like 30, 50, 60 pull-ups.
Yeah.
I could never do a pull-up in my life. Strict pull-ups are still really hard for me, honestly, but kipping is this, like, I love it. It's such a cheat.
What's kipping?
Kipping is where you get this full body, basically you're tricking gravity. You use your whole body as like a pendulum.
You swing.
And you swing, and you get this wild swing, and then you just start leaving that the momentum just leads you through it, and you really don't have to do much after.
No, but
you just have to be able to hold on.
If you catch one of those kips wrong, you could really damage your shoulders.
I chipped a tooth as well. Yeah, I did a little face into the bar a couple times. And, yeah, but your shoulder, and then when they start getting you into like muscle ups and shit, and you don't really know what you're doing. You've just been doing kipping pull-ups for weeks, and then they're like, now you're going to get up on top of that bar. That's when I fucked the shoulders up. But it was my back. It was my back. All the like the WODs, every day is like there's not a lot of consideration or tutelage really to tell you to be careful. The whole community is like, yes you can. Yeah. Yes you can. And you're like literally like bleeding. Rope burn marks up your crotch. Your back is like throbbing,
and half of it is tearing your calluses off.
Oh my god, yeah, and like bleeding on the bars, and people are like, yeah. It's like, that's not sanitary. Right. I don't know what's happening there. What's in your blood mingling with my blood now?
I don't think of it as an adult's thing.
No,
I think
it's young.
It for
it's
kids.
a young, But I was like 32 when I started, so I was already on the sort of like older edge of the fringes there, but I just was like so taken with it, man, because it's so results oriented. Yeah. Like not even in your body, but just like from workout to workout, you would just see your strength and your agility increasing, and doing crazier and lifting like that. Like how addictive is that? You start doing that, and you're like, oh my god, I can do this. I can do it. So I can see why it became like such a huge phenomenon.
I love Olympic lifts. I just don't like doing them fast.
Yeah, or like. Recklessly. Right. Like you can't do that stuff because there'll be people that walk into a CrossFit box and within 3 days they're doing like this, 185 pound like cleans, and you're like, don't do that. You're going to wreck your arms and your shoulders, but no one's there telling them not to, right?
Right.
So there's all these like...
And there's a reason in the Olympics why they do that one time.
Yeah,
they do one
one-time lift. Yeah.
Not 20 snatches in a minute. It's one snatch because it's like a hard, complicated movement.
Yeah, and I think where people really, really fuck themselves up are deadlifts, man.
Yeah,
like because you just you fuck up your back like that, you're just done.
But I won't do a deadlift anymore. I'll do a deadlift with a hex bar.
Yeah.
Because that feels safe. Or I'll do a straight leg deadlift. But a real deadlift, I won't mess with it.
I do like dumbbell deadlifts now. That's about it. Like at the heaviest, I'll put like a couple of 50s in my hands or something. But like I was deadlifting like 420, 430, like but like reps. And it's like that whole community, especially at the box I was at, they started to like really get behind me. You know, everyone was like, yeah, look at this guy. Like I was not in great shape, but I had, for whatever reason, I could do deadlifts a lot. And then I remember one day walking home after like a day of that and like kettlebell swings. The WOD was like running, deadlifts, and kettlebell swings. Just an odd pairing of, you know, and just like wearing down one spot of your body, especially running with a belly.
Gonna destroy your hips today.
Yeah. And then I remember walking home barely, and then like just having to fall on somebody's lawn and lay there until my back stopped spasming.
Yeah.
Like just my lower back, I just felt like a lump in my back, and I just laid there like sticking my thumb into it for like 20 minutes until I could even get back up. And then I went back, and I was going 7 days a week. Ridiculous, man.
It's too much. Yeah, we got to be nicer to our bodies. I think the whole point is like, I think about exercise that I want to do just enough that I can guarantee that I'll be able to do my next workout.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with my next workout.
Because you do that easily. You tip that scale a little bit, and it's like, and then every workout that week gets a little bit harder and a little more painful. And like, I'm just able to hear you say that now and not feel like I'm a total liar when I say me too, because I still have that instinct, you know, to like
crush it, just kill yourself.
I always say like, I work out like a maniac. I'm like, who wants to work out like a maniac?
Yeah.
How does a maniac work out?
Right. It can still be hard. It can still be hard, but I think there is a fine line. For me, the hardest week is a deload week. When you get to a week where it's like, okay, now everything is half of what you've been doing.
Just sort of like,
deload meaning like get rid of some weight.
Get rid of something. Maybe the weight's the same as you were doing it in the week prior, but the sets are half. So you're doing half the volume.
It's basically like a week of active recovery.
Okay.
So when the pandemic hit and the gyms closed, you know, me like everyone else was like, oh my God. And I tried to order gym equipment. I couldn't get anything anywhere. I couldn't order even like a dumbbell. And luckily I had bought a Concept 2 like a couple weeks before. And then so all I had through all of COVID was the rower, 2 like shitty old mats, and 2 rusty old 25s that I found in the garage. And that's it. And I got the best results I've ever had in my life from using this app called Shred. That's amazing. Because after COVID hit too, they were like, well, we're going to release a whole slew of body weight floor routines that you can just do with nothing. And there was like dozens and dozens of them. Like you never have to do the same thing twice. And I just turned into like this is all I need. It was all plyo and all this stuff, you know. And I love it. So that's kind of become my new obsession now. Is like, what can I do with my body? Like, I want to start getting into trying to do like handstands. I want to start, you know, all kinds of things, like, you know, where you just realize like, oh man, my body is like kind of all I really need.
Yeah.
You know, when you get the sort of vanity out of the way of certain exercises, or like the idea that you have to do curls to, even though I did some before I came here today.
No, but you don't. And also, if you're not looking to like build a lot of muscle, if you're just going like, I want to lose fat and I just want to retain the muscle I have, you don't need anything else.
No.
All you need to do is tell your body like, hey, this muscle, you can't eat it because here it is, I'm using it. That's it.
Yeah. And I find that I used to always say that like I needed to redline at the gym because that's like the only moment that my mind is quiet. Like all I have to do also is like, if the hardest thing I have to do is like run up these stairs really fast or like lift this thing over here, like, that's the easiest shit in the world.
Yeah.
There's so many other more difficult things I have to do every day. But I always thought that the red line was sort of like, I needed to almost blank out. I need to like fall on the ground in the gym and just be like, beep, like a dial tone.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, there's bliss for me. And I realized that it's not what I want. I want to sort of be present for all of it and enjoy it. And then I feel the like high afterwards so much more when it's like more controlled.
Yeah.
And more within my sort of proper range, you know, when you're reaching outside of it and trying to do all these like crazy lifts and things. I think that's when I kind of lost touch with what fitness meant.
Yeah.
For me, it's like how I feel more than anything. And I always feel really good when it's like a sweat a ton.
Yeah.
I get my heart rate up for sure, but I'm not like, like I'm not dying. I'm not like in physical pain. I'm just like, you know, it's a new red line. It's a soft red line.
Every now and again, I'll do a set of legs, and I'll be going back to my car, and I'll be going like,
Oh yeah, tomorrow's gonna suck, man.
Getting on the toilet, and I've done like straight leg deadlifts and hamstring curls, and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna not be fun in a couple days. But it's very rare. Mostly, I'm looking for what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I do like those days too, and I still like those feelings of like, especially with abs, when I'm like, oh, I can really feel like sitting up in the morning to get out of bed, and you're like, oh, yeah.
But I think the key, and what you're saying, and the key for anybody who's listening to this, and obviously as a relativist, I'm not saying that absolutely whatever works for you is fine.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is like, look, we're adults. We've got kids. We're in our 40s. Our bodies are no longer just going to heal themselves overnight.
Oh boy.
We do risk like actual injury, and going 100% every day. You cannot do that forever. You cannot just throw extra plates on the bench press every day. You're going to wind up hurting yourself.
Like that's a certainty.
Yeah.
An absolute certainty. And like I said, my that one time my trainer finally stopped me and was just like, stop. Like, what is the end game here for you?
Yeah.
You're 40 years old. This is when I was 40. And she was like, stop. There's no point to what you're doing.
Yeah.
She's like, lighten the weight, do more reps, whatever. You're going to hurt yourself. And I think that was a big existential sort of aha moment for me. I was like, right, I'm not young. I'm not young. I'm not young anymore, and you have to be careful. And then I think my mentality really shifted at that point too. I was like, okay, if I am preaching to people that I work out so much because I want to feel better, then why did I feel like ass all the time?
Right.
Why was I hurting all the time? Why was I, I didn't have energy for anything other than working out. I would go to do my CrossFit every morning, and then I'd be wrecked for the rest of the day and then barely get to it the next morning. I was like, that's not even close to the goal that I actually set for myself.
Yeah.
What I really want is to fucking have energy and feel good and ultimately change my brain chemistry too. It really opens up, sends certain endorphins and your serotonin levels go up and all the, dopamine. That's not happening if you're in repair.
No.
Total damage repair. That's why I had a doctor tell me at one point, he's like, CrossFit is so hard on the central nervous system because you're in fight or flight mode. And then your body stays in that fight or flight mode because you were just in the biggest battle of your life that morning for an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you stay frazzled. Your nerves stay frazzled all the time.
Yeah, I think if you're...
I'm not slamming CrossFit, by the way.
Right, no, I know.
I think if you can handle it, sure. But I'm an anxious person already, and I just was not helping me.
At 25 or... even younger or whatever, and again, these are all arbitrary figures, but I'm saying a young person who is set up to smash their body that hard and still have a totally normal day, fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that, but I also think that the idea that you have to, if you have a goal and if you've had any kind of trouble starting the path to your goal, the idea that you have to kill yourself every day is damaging.
Yeah.
You're gonna set yourself up for failure, because whether that is you get to your goal and then you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then you automatically start sliding in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Or you hurt yourself or whatever it is. The feeling of needing to harm your body every day, I don't think is healthy.
Well, and I think it also became apparent to me that at a certain point, it was like flagellation. I was intentionally flogging myself.
Yeah.
Paying for my sins or something. That's a deeper issue, obviously, but I did truly believe that I needed to punish myself or something, and then because I was doing it in a productive way, that was okay. But it really was not. It was just like you said, we need to be nice to ourselves. You need to be kind to yourself. That's the complete opposite. And I think that since you're a sober guy as well, the addiction elements to that are just so obvious to me too. That it's such an experience. It's like a high. It's an ultimate high. So you just get totally addicted to the wrong parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was when I was riding bicycles, there was a thing that was kind of introduced to me pretty early on of this kind of reverence for suffering.
Yeah.
And you want to be suffering. You want to be really redlining it for long periods of time.
Right.
And man, did I fall in love with that. And it was this
there's some euphoria there, right?
Totally. You get into this discomfort that switches over into true euphoria, and to the point where like after the ride you have to lay down because you've exhausted yourself so much. And this is every day, and you're just constantly chasing this feeling of suffering. And I can kind of use that in times when I'm really tired or really unmotivated and go like, no, remember that suffering, let's go suffer a little bit. And I can use it that way, but it's not the same of like I need to hurt myself.
Yeah, that's controlled. You're again, as a sober person, you have learned how to sort of manage those very destructive callings. You know? But you also probably learned a lot about, I'm really with the therapy and the AA right now, like really learning about like sort of how I've taken a lot of character defects or negatives and used them as take that same weird addictive sort of motivation from before and just every once in a while pluck it off the shelf and be like, I kind of want that today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you really are feeling like you need that, you can have it that day, but it's not going to be like every day all of a sudden you're like drowning in, these red line marathons. Right.
Yeah. And the goal is, people talk about the journey, but like keep the destination in mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like I like going out on a boat, but if we just go out on a boat aimlessly, like at some point we're going to be like, well, where are we going?
We might want to head back at one point.
Yeah. And then we might not know where back is anymore if we're not paying attention to the destination.
Yeah, you definitely. I've been lost at sea many times in my life. Just sort of like, oh, shit. Maybe the destination was kind of important to remember.
Yeah, my wife will come and go like, you're not a professional cyclist,
right?
What do you want to work? Like, why don't you go get a job? Or like. You've been hiking a whole lot lately. What
I live in Ojai, man. People don't hike every day, all right? That's like a once in a while thing, going like a 3-hour hike and enjoy it and pack some water. And like, I was like going out there with nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a speed hike.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived that too. It's wonderful. And my wife literally was like, you gonna try to work for like Nature magazine? What are you doing in Griffith Park?
What's the goal here, man?
Day?
Yeah. That's funny. The idea that like we do with the fitness and the everything, like it's not saying that this is easy, that you've created a successful podcast, but like there are people that are making a living just by being attractive and working out on Instagram. Yeah. And like, so the reality is that if you really wanted to, you could switch. You could just make that your profession. Like I don't have as many followers as you, but like I could probably, if I really latched onto like the fitness motivation thing as my sort of identifying, space on Instagram, I probably could switch destinations. I probably could go. So it's hard to like, you have to, it becomes less about like what you could do and more really about like, what is it you want, man? Like, what, do you really want this to be your everything?
Well, I think, and part of this podcast is just my wife going like, oh God, are we going to hear about macros again? Like, this is so fucking boring. Go talk to somebody else about it. And I'm like, I don't know anybody else. Who am I supposed to talk to? And she's like,
put a microphone in front of them.
People will talk to you. You can talk to people. Go ahead. Like, I give you permission. And then she's like, well, not so much permission. Paige is going to supervise it.
Oh, well, you've been a very good supervisor so far.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it's totally fun because it is something I know you've been fascinated with for years. I've been fascinated with it for years, and every single thing I've tried, I've been fascinated with. You know what I mean? Like I was fascinated with the idea that a guy like took blood out of me and told me I couldn't eat anything red, and like had a whole it gave me all these reasons for it, and I was like, yes, this will change my life. No apples, no red cabbage, no beef, like
no red grapes,
only
even
white
though they're
grapes.
more purple, but
and then somebody later told me no, he was wrong, it's only white things, like red cabbage is fine, white cabbage is
just
bad.
Flip it on its head. I had the same thing. It's frustrating at the time because I think you're really reaching for that life-changing little piece of knowledge that you can just apply and immediately get results. Or it's like you've tried everything else and it just isn't working, and someone offers you this brand new solution. But in hindsight, looking back at my journey, however, like 10 years now of like really trying to figure out my body, I'm like, that shit is fascinating.
Yeah.
And every time you embark on one of those, you're learning something. Every time you embark on like let's call it a failed mission, you're learning like a ton. You learned a ton about yourself. Your body learned something. So it's like the failures are, I think, just not to get all cliche, but the failures in my fitness journey are the only reason why I still go.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get somewhere. It's because I'm like, well, it's a never ending journey. Like it's constant learning about what, you can do and how you can feel. So like, yeah, all those failures really,
they're helpful.
They're really helpful. They're not just helpful. They like totally have shaped me now as like a curious human being who wants to stay curious. I think we do that a lot. We shut down the curiosity about you, like especially when we're being shoved all this information all the time.
Right.
You stop being curious. You're just told what to do all the time. But man, if you just listen and stay curious about what your body's telling you, it's like, it's pretty magical.
It's so magical. Yeah. Samuel Beckett, I think, said, ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better.
Yeah.
And that I love. Fail better. Yeah. Whatever I'm going to do, fuck it. I'm going to fail better.
Fail better. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I have like as an actor, I have like a very similar kind of tenet. It's this letter from Agnes DeMille from back in like the Tinseltown days to this young ingenue, and she was like complaining on set about needing more takes or whatever. And she wrote her this letter, and there's this one quote. It says, "For the artist, there is no satisfaction. There's only a queer divine dissatisfaction." And that's what keeps you going. And I think it's the same thing with anything that has no attainable perfection. There is no standard of perfection for art or for fitness or whatever. It's like
it's all subjective.
It's all subjective. You just keep going, man.
Yeah.
I like that Samuel Beckett quote.
I like that.
It's a goodie.
DeMille?
Agnes DeMille. Yeah.
Agnes DeMille. That's a great.
It's a really long quote. The whole thing is fantastic. But I had a director when I was like 21 on a show on the CW. No, the WB. It was before
pre-CW.
Yeah, pre-CW.
The first iteration of the CW.
The very poorly received WB.
Right.
Although they had like Dawson's and there was some hot
good
shit on there.
channel,
It's this director named Kevin Dowling who I've worked with a ton. But I was like, that's what I was doing. Every take, I was like, no, that sucked. I need another one. And I was like a lead on the show, so I'd never really had that freedom to be like, I'll take another.
Yeah.
And he just kept saying like, dude, you're good. Like, we got it. And I was like, no. And so finally, on his like third episode of directing the show, he came with this little laminated piece of the letter. The quote highlighted in laminated. He was like, take this, put it in your wallet, keep it for the rest of your fucking life, man.
And you did.
And I have it. I still have it. And I was like, oh my God, there's no satisfaction. There's only a queer divine dissatisfaction. I love the old timey language too. It's so good.
It's so good. And
why
it's
do I like being
sentiment.
dissatisfied? I do, because it's nice to know that I'll never get it right, but I'll never get it wrong.
Right. You cannot get it wrong.
No.
Yeah. Somebody said that about art to me once. You can't do art wrong. And I was just like, yes.
I say that to my kids, but you forget it sometimes as an artist. You're just like, no, that's a good thing to get them to start like coloring better or do whatever. But like, you don't really believe that. But no, I do, man. It's like there's no way to do it wrong.
Mistake.
Like in the beginning stages of, not that we're here to talk about acting, but in the beginning stages of any character development, that's my favorite because like you can fucking flail, you can swing wildly, and there's just no wrong way to do it. You're just like discovering this thing.
But have you because I've experienced this a number of times where you're going like and you're throwing shit against the wall and you find something that's so radical and you're just like, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And you go into an audition or something and you do this thing and you walk out and you go, why'd I pick that?
Yeah. Oh, all the time, man. And we don't always get the job, or even when you're like on a job and you're like, I can just do whatever I want. Someone will eventually come to you, a director or a producer, and be like, hey, we don't like that. We've been watching dailies change. But, it's an exciting moment when you like someone hands you the keys and just says, here, figure some shit out.
You brought up Gosling before we started. But he was the first guy that I saw, and it was on Remember the Titans, who made a radical choice.
Yeah,
and yet did it in a very subtle way.
Yeah,
and I think he stole the movie, and I mean that very sincerely.
Yeah.
That's not hyperbolic.
Well, me and Gosling have known each other since we were kids, like we did a TV series together. I'm sure you don't know about it. We went to school on like a cruise ship. It was called Breaker High, and it was this ridiculous show on UPN, taking it even further back in the WB. And it was like a really bad teen soap opera show. But I met Ryan, and right away, I had already been like kind of a comedic, whatever, like guest starring actor in Vancouver, and he showed up and he was like all for playing. Everything was like, let's fuck around. He didn't care about the words on the page. He didn't care about anything. And I was like, me too, man. But nobody on the show liked it. They were like, you guys are idiots. and we would get like people coming down from Saban and like UPN being like, execs being like, taking us into like rooms in the back and being like, we're going to fire you. Right. Start saying the fucking words, you idiot. Like, who do you fucking think you are? And I remember at one point, Ryan looked at me and he said, I'm leaving the show. I'm out of here. And I was like 19. He was 17. I'd never made that much money. I think I was 18. He was 16 actually. And I was like, am I going to back him on this play and like walk away from the show? But he was like, I'm not changing what we're doing. What we're doing is good. Or they can fire me. And I was like, yeah, me too. And then we kept doing it, and we got in so much shit over and over again. And then the show came out, and we were like the breakout stars of the show. Yeah. Everyone was like, those guys. I mean, you know, for a kid's soap opera. But it was like, yeah, I learned so much from him about like, yeah, just stick to your guns and do the thing that you know is better than the thing that they're asking you to do. Yeah,
and I also found like, if I was gonna make a choice like he made in that movie, I would have done it in a way that I think at the time I would have gone like, oh, that choice equals really look at me and I'm gonna steal. And he was just like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's a choice for the character. The character exists independently of everything else that's happening.
I always envy people who just can't not make interesting choices. You know, like I feel like when I make a choice, it's like I'm making a choice.
Yes,
but then
see my choice.
Yeah, but then you have to realize like the choices that I'm making without, in those moments where I'm not making a choice, those are my weird natural choices. You know, but yeah, I also like. I'm a big student of truth and comedy. Del Close, like Second City. Grew up watching SCTV with Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, and Christopher Guest is like my hero. Like all those dudes, they can't. I don't think too big is in their vocabulary, but it's always grounded. Catherine O'Hara is maybe the most unbelievable. Like she can swing for the fucking fences so far out that you can't even see the fences she's swinging for, and she still makes it believable somehow. Like every time.
She's on Schitt's Creek, right?
Schitt's Creek. Yeah.
It is my greatest joy.
But she's like a Canadian icon, too.
Yes, I hear my wife and kids saying Alexis all the time. They call each other that.
Yeah, Alexis. Yeah, she's a fucking genius, man. But anyway, it's just that that sort of grounding of your like big choices. You know, like you can swing, but you gotta bring it in.
Yeah. You got to hit the ball, too, and get on base.
Yeah, exactly.
Like those things are important, too.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch someone whiffing.
Yeah, I can be doing my big choice on the corner for the traffic, and it doesn't matter.
But doesn't make it any less valuable, though.
Right, that's true.
Just because you can't monetize that shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure, man.
It's been an awesome conversation.
Yeah, it's good to see you, dude.
You too. It's been too long. Tell me the name of...
the company?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lift to Rise.
Lift to Rise.
So it's Lift to Rise Fitness Incorporated, and they're on Facebook, and you can buy their program, their introductory program on Facebook, like I said. But then they're also, they just have a lot of stuff percolating. Like really cool stuff, like all along the same lines I was talking about. So check them out.
It sounds like... and I think... you know, guys like that and Lane Norton and Mike Israetel and guys like this who are just giving you the principles that are truly necessary for weight loss or improved fitness, which is like, if you want to get bigger, you need to eat more. If you want to get smaller, you need to, and by the way, not in volume, but in caloric value, eat less. However you shape that is completely fine if it works for you. Like that kind of stuff. And so it sounds like your friend's really doing a version of that where he's like, let's figure out what's going on with you and then let's figure out a program.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's the growth is like I think their motto is growth from the inside out.
Right.
And it's just like, it's not, it just can get so complicated out there. Yeah. It just can get so noisy and complicated, like we were talking about. And then this is kind of just like a clear clearly lit path.
Yeah.
To like, here, just take this.
Yeah.
You know?
Just take this, and
Yeah.
it's okay to eat
Yeah, you can eat
cucumbers.
Food. Yeah.
They're not killing you.
You can eat red foods.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Or white foods.
Or white. You can eat any color of foods.
And I don't know, but brown rice and white rice probably aren't that different.
Yeah, I think they're both rice.
It's
We can
both
agree on
rice,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.